I used to hop from one media house to another, uh, where I wanted to tell my stories. We had so many stories that we wanted to say, the former security officers in the Moi government. And since I'm the only one who had been exposed, others who had been using me to try and enlighten those things in the media houses, various media houses. So I used to hop from one media house to another. And after talking my story, you'd find those people, those journalists I talked to, they would really encourage me, and they'd ask for my particulars, and they would say that they would come to me, but that would be the end. So I went to all media houses. Then one day, of course, I didn't go to the government media houses. One day I went to Kijabe Street, where K24 was, and I talked to the security guards and told them, the security guards stroke receptionist. I told them my mission. They took my ID. They wrote down my particulars, took my ID. But unlike other places, other places, once they take your ID, you are given a badge. But here, I was not given a badge. I was just told to go to, is it third or whatever floor? Go and you'll get somebody called Khaemba, DUNCAN KHAEMBA. They referred me to DUNCAN KHAEMBA. We talked with DUNCAN KHAEMBA. I think we talked for about 90 minutes. We talked on various topics. He really inquired. He was a deep inquirer. We talked for a long time. But from the word go, he was unique to the others. The other journalists or from other media houses, they really encouraged you to talk. They really encouraged you to talk. And even when you are leaving and you left with you gave them your particulars, the phone number they can get you, they gave you the impression that it is very much possible that you'll get a phone from them. But for the 90 minutes that I talked to DUNCAN KHAEMBA, from the word go, I felt that I would not be shocked if that our discussions would end there. He didn't seem to be so much after the topic. It seemed as if it is me who was just pushing for the story. But he covered very many angles. We talked this, we talked that, we talked a lot of things. But as we were leaving, I had no doubt that in this one, I can say that just like you can say today that there are some job interviews you go and you just feel this job anyway, it's good I tried, but no hope for getting that. That is what I was. So when we went down the stairs, the lift, as we were parting ways, he gave me his business card. He gave me his business card that if I have any information, I can get down to him. That was different. It was different from other media houses, because other media houses, they asked for my particulars. They asked for my particulars and then encouraged me that they will get in touch. But he did ask for my particulars, but he gave me his card and said that should I come across any information important, I should give him a call. I think that is, and also the feeling of disappointment, and maybe the last minute as we were going to the parking lot, I had this feeling that I should convince him. I had this feeling that I should convince him that I had information. Most likely that is why I even forgot to go to the reception stroke guards to get my ID. So I just went home. Later on, when I wanted to move from office to office, I discovered that I did not have my ID. It never occurred to me where the ID would be. It never occurred to me. So what I did is just forgot that. But then there was something very important which I was to do at the BBC, which was not very far from there. There was something that I was to check on BBC. Then I happened to pass at K24 place just to say hi. But when I went there, I told the K24 receptionist that I want to say hi to people here. I happen to have been around, but I think I've lost my ID. They said, no, you didn't lose your ID. The day you left, we saw you talking to the journalist, and we waited for you to finish so that you come to take your ID, but you just left with that. Then I was given the ID. So to me, the story ended that way. Uh, I thought that was the end of everything, especially between me and DUNCAN KHAEMBA. Much later, I became famous uh, for various media houses. So one day, I even had forgotten about that, because my intention was for the media houses to know about Nyayo House, Nyayo House torture chambers, and when other media houses had enlightened it, I think the story ended there. So to me, the issue, I mean, had already been overtaken. Then one day, I received a phone call. I received a phone call from a member of the Masinde family. Masinde family, as Fred Simiyu Masinde, the only MP whom people were voting for when he was already dead. Fred Simiyu Masinde is the person who has changed the constitution of Kenya, or the laws of Kenya, whereby when people are contesting for a seat and one of the candidates dies before people start balloting, then that election is done again. So already people knew that Masinde is dead, and when the results were being announced, he was the MP for Mathare. I've already recorded, I've even shown the place where he died. If you check my 2 years recording, 2 years ago recording. So a relative from the Masinde family wanted me to talk about it on TV station. They told me that KTN was interested in finding, they had started a program called Untold Story, and they wanted me to tell the untold story about how Masinde died, the circumstances that Fred Simiyu Masinde died. So the family, a brother of his, a younger brother of his, asked me if I would not mind giving my story to KTN about that. I said I don't mind, because my policy was to expose extrajudicial killings, especially by security personnel, extrajudicial killings. So I said I don't mind. And then he told me, Khaemba will get into contact with you. I didn't even connect the Khaemba with DUNCAN KHAEMBA or any other Khaemba. He just told me Khaemba will get in contact with you over how he will interview you, because you have told him that we are going to request you, the family is requesting you to give evidence on how my elder brother died. I said it's okay. Sometimes later, Those of you who know Riruta satellite, there's a place called Maishapoa. As I was bypassing Maishapoa, there's a road there, which nowadays is so well maintained. As I was passing there, I saw a phone call. The goodness with a mobile phone is you save somebody's name and you even forget that person. So the phone called and I saw it was DUNCAN KHAEMBA. If you remember a few minutes ago, I've said that he never took my phone number. So I can say that I think it is Masinde family that gave him my number. So when I just saw DUNCAN KHAEMBA calling, I was very excited. I said, so after so many years, you have you have decided to call me. I did not connect the Khaemba was being told by the Masinde family with DUNCAN KHAEMBA. Said, where did we meet? I told him, oh, whatever. He said, okay, okay, okay. And he said, the purpose of my calling you is that the family of the late Honorable Fred Simiyu Masinde wants you to blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. And the rest, as they say, it is this. We organized for uh, we organized for the interview. We organized for the interview. So that is how we came to meet. But before we started, there was a need to test the camera and the mic. There was a need to start the camera and the mic. So when we were testing the mic and the camera, uh, Khaemba asked me a question that is there any entertaining story, that is the word he used, which you can say so that so that we can test the camera and also test the mic to see if they are working. I said there are very many. Said such as, then I said such as JM karaoke. Said what about JM karaoke? Hey boy, I started rapping. I knew it was something for testing mic. Then as I was rapping, I looked at him and saw a very concerned person, and he became very. Initially it was an issue of checking the camera if the mic is picked properly, if the pictures are clear or anything. But then suddenly he confirmed that the mic and the camera was. Yeah, then he asked me, does the JM family know what you have just told me? I told him, uh, I have met Rosemary karaoke, Mashua karaoke only once. I met her during the Professor Makau Mutua's task force for TGRC. So I met her, but you see, we had so much confidence in those commissions and whatever and inquiries that were started when Kibaki was brand new president. We were so much interested, we had faith in them that I saw that instead of telling her, I should just talk to the various task commissions, and then as a family, maybe they can now get the whole story from there. So he continued asking me very many questions, and of which, something that has been hidden in your brain for a long time without sharing with anybody. Because those days when you share with somebody, most likely you'll end up in Langata Cemetery. So this is the time that these things were now coming. And they were coming like a rapper. Blah 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 blah. You talk, you talk, you talk, you finish. It is these such talkings that journalists are trained, and Khaemba, so he noticed it very well that he found that there was no need of interfering with me, because there are times when you just talk, and if somebody stops you, reach someone and say, by the way, where was I? So he left me talk, rap until the end. Then he started asking the questions which would fill in what I did. And then he breathed and said, "Hey, my God, I didn't know that I'll, uh, is it a scrub or I'll fall? I mean, I'll meet such a story." Then we finished and then said, okay, let us deal with what brought us here. Then we discussed about the death of Fred Simiyu Masinde. Uh, we then talked about Fred Simiyu Masinde extensively. Then, funny thing, like we were being told in the police that some promotions or good causes can be made for sons and relatives and friends of very senior officers. So you go there escorting that person, but you perform so well in the interview that the escortee becomes the escorter and vice versa, and the escorter becomes the escortee. So the story I had been called was for Fred Simiyu Masinde, but the story that took over and ruled over the airwaves was the story about JM Karaoke. Then somebody from the USA contacted me. Somebody from the USA contacted me and said, man, you have you are interviewed for two different occasions and you had only one suit. Does it mean that you have one suit only? I said the answer is yes and no. The answer, first of all, is that I was called for one interview, and then when I was called for the one interview, we found that we had two topics, so we had to cover the two topics. There was no way I would go and change for the other one. But yes, I have only one suit. Then he said, "How can I give you a second suit?" I said, "It is." I said, "It is." I told him about my till number. He said, "From abroad, you can't deal with till numbers." So he said, "Give me your M-Pesa account. You can't give an M-Pesa account to anybody." So I went to a fundi, asked him how much is a suit. The same fundi who had that, he said, it's so much. And you see, the first suit which I had, which is orange, had one trouser. So I said, I want a second trouser on that suit. And then the blue suit, I want two trousers. So it is going to be three trousers and one coat. How much is it? He told me. Then I sent the message to the fellow in the US. Uh, it was the fundi who was calling me, said the money we agreed, with the money we agreed, imefika, so come you take the second suit. That is how I got the second suit. When I got the second suit, I told the fellow in the US, you see what your suit has done? I mean, what, yeah, but, and he said, okay, what else do you want? I told him, I want a WWE Revs t-shirt. WWE Revs t-shirt. He sent the WWE Rev t-shirt, which I appeared with in the program of Dr. Kingori. I then sent him a picture. You see, then he complained. He complained that every new clothes is buying me, I'm appearing on TV. So he does not want me to appear on TV again. I said, why don't you send me a laptop? Because a laptop I'll not be taken. So he sent me a laptop. My son in campus is using that laptop that came from Illinois, huko kwa kina nani Obama, but the fellow is a mzungu, so he sent that. So that is how I got all these things. Uh, that is how I came to know of Mr. Khaemba. I don't know what happened because at that time, my views is that he had a low opinion of me as a source of income, but I found that most of the people who quote me about seeing me on TV have always quoted uh, Duncan Khaemba. So I think he doesn't deal with amateurs, and maybe that is why he was strict and he set his standards high. I salute him and I thank him. Thank you too.